Like as you said, we place it on either side of the neck for 2 minutes to help with initially migraines and cluster headaches, where we have FDA clearances for, both in the acute and the prevention. But also, we have shown that we can decrease airway reactivity with this device. It's been authorized via the emergency use authorization pathway of the FDA as a treatment that a patient can use at home or in a healthcare setting to help them with the breathing problems associated with COVID. It's one of very few therapies that have actually been authorized by the FDA for the treatment of COVID. So it's really an exciting time, and I think I'm thrilled that there are new therapeutic options for patients with COVID.
Yeah, it's fascinating. So if someone is struggling to breathe and they don't particularly do well with the medication they're giving, this is a very viable alternative.
That's correct. And importantly, there are other things that have been looked at and evaluated, but the FDA, who gets hundreds of applications for this, have evaluated very few a number of these therapies, but have authorized very few therapies as a treatment for this. And this is something that doesn't require nebulizers or aerosolization of drugs that could potentially spread the virus, but actually has a very profound effect on the lungs in opening up the lungs and allowing people to breathe. The fact that the FDA has looked at the safety profile of this, the efficacy of what we've demonstrated to date, and found that there's nothing else like it, is why the FDA has authorized this via the emergency use pathway.
It's fascinating. Did you know this as you essentially have this device for people who suffer with very bad headaches? Did you by accident discover that it also helped to open up the airways?
You know, it's a great question. When we got started on this, one of my partners in crime in starting this company, JP Errico and I, we were looking at trying to block airway reactivity. My son had peanut allergies, and I was looking for a solution to that originally. And we did a bunch of studies together in both animals and then later on in humans, demonstrating that this improved airway reactivity and breathing. What we found along the way is that it helped with headaches. For a variety of commercial reasons, we decided to concentrate on that aspect, but I never forgot the DNA of the company, which was on improving airway reactivity and response to inflammation and anaphylaxis.
That's fascinating. So I had it completely the wrong way around. You started with, breathing easier and found out it cured headaches. Okay, you mentioned that the FDA has approved this for emergency use. When do you hope that this could be for, a permanent endorsement from the FDA?
Well, we've given a certain amount of data to the FDA in a very early time period, and I think it's important to note that, as you've already pointed out, this virus came out of nowhere to a lot of us in January of this year. And the FDA looked at what we have at that time when we submitted this back in early April, and granted us an emergency use authorization for the duration of the pandemic. We are collecting more data as we go. We have a multiple randomized controlled trials ongoing. You mentioned in your previous segment 500. Several of those are ours. We are looking at trying to demonstrate more definitively in long-term randomized controlled trials the profound efficacy of this. They will probably need more data down the road for a permanent application of this. Hopefully this COVID goes away and we won't need it, but in the meantime, while we have more than 5.3 million or 5.2 million Americans who have been diagnosed with this, and you just discussed the number of deaths, we need a therapy today that's been authorized by the FDA to help our doctors and our patients get through this.
Listen, before I let you go, you released your earnings yesterday. You beat on the per share basis, the earnings on that side. You missed on revenue, but what other treatments are you working on, if you can just update us?
Well, I think it's public information that we have a variety of headache indications, as you already know. In March, we got the approval for migraine prevention, and that puts us in a very unique position as being, I think, the only medical device that's been approved for acute and prevention for cluster and migraine. But we have studies going on in terms of IITs on a variety of very, very interesting indications that that are going to be very exciting to your group. I don't want to talk about too much about all the other things that are going on right now, but we have some studies that are going to rock your socks pretty soon.
Wow, that sounds great, Doctor. On a Friday, rock my socks. All right, terrific stuff. Congratulations on this device, and if it can help anyone, which already it is, that's very good news. Dr. Peter Schatz, thank you so much. Starts, I should say. Thank you, Doctor, for joining us. And before we head to the break, let's take a quick